Hello and welcome back to the Tea and a Buddy podcast. I'm Dominic.
And I'm Erica.
And this is our Travel Culture Week that you're listening to. Our Travel Culture episode that you have been waiting for. All of you have been waiting for. You've been waiting with bated breath. I'm going to talk about Rome. When we went to Rome.
Yeah.
The time we went to Rome.
Yes. The new Pope.
And we built it in a day.
Has us thinking about
the new
our
Pope.
Trip
Yes.
to Rome. The new American Pope.
The first American Pope ever.
But yeah, it got us thinking, hey, we've been to the Vatican.
Yeah, we've been to the Vatican. We've sat in the Pope's throne. Haven't we?
No.
Didn't we?
No, that never happened.
That woman put that folding chair down and said that this is where the Pope sits. And I sat there and I said, I gave her $50.
Give me my staff.
And I was like,
picture.
Did he have a staff?
I don't know. You just imagine
everybody
talks
talks about his little Pope-mobile.
Yeah.
Which apparently every Pope gets a new one or something.
A new one? Oh my God.
I think they get because I think that the last Pope's is
somebody tried to shoot at the Pope once. That's why they had to make the Pope-mobile, wasn't it?
No, they just have a Pope-mobile.
No, I think someone tried to assassinate him. John Paul.
John Paul George Ringo.
Yes.
That thing with the Perspex glass, the bulletproof glass. Yeah, no, that they just put that on. But I think he's always had something that gets him around. You know, it's like a white.
Well, yeah, he's always had something that gets him around. But I think he was just out in the open, like at a pageant. You know, he's just sitting on the back of the car doing his wave.
At a random pageant, he turned up the Pope. Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Well, we went to the Vatican.
Yes, many moons ago.
We
were talking about this. We're not
sure.
It was
25 years ago now.
We're not sure we've ever done a podcast on this. Maybe we have. If we have, and you've heard it all before, then, get out of here.
No, don't get out of here. Stay. We need you.
No,
become a patron while you're at it. Go on.
Yeah, we were thinking maybe...
Not one of the free ones either.
Oh my God.
I know you freebies trying to hitch a ride to us, our podcast, our patrons for freebies.
Oh my God.
And we're giving out t-shirts, just throwing them out from the stage.
Throwing them from our Pope-mobile.
Yes! We need a Pope-mobile.
I don't even know what
the
you're
Buddy-mobile.
We may have talked about this trip to our patrons at some point in the past. So if you have heard it before, do forgive us.
Do forgive us.
Maybe you'll learn something new. Maybe not. I don't know. If you haven't heard it before,
I mean, we're gonna.
No,
I don't think we've talked about it except with our patrons. Actually,
yeah.
I think that was the last time we talked about Rome.
Become a patron, and you'll have already heard this.
Yeah, you can go listen to it.
You can go back,
compare this
go
one
back in time
to the patron one.
Yeah, or are we making that up? Maybe we've never made a patron.
No, maybe we didn't, because we're gonna do another patron episode pretty soon. So
we are, yes, we will. Guys, let us know what you want us to talk to you about on Patreon, by the way.
Let us know what you want us to talk about to you on here.
Yeah,
on our public.
That would be nice, yeah.
Public episode podcasts.
Anyway, we are talking complete
and utter ball twaddle. You thought I was going to say the word, didn't you? But you were wrong.
Anyway, we took a trip to Rome many moons ago when we were actually in Spain visiting your dad.
Yes.
And
which was many moons ago now.
And the great thing about being in Europe anywhere, and when I say Europe, I am including the UK. I'm including the UK as well.
We didn't Brexit for you to say...
To refer to the UK as Europe.
That is specifically why the vote went for Brexit.
It's so funny,
because
you guys.
They wanted Erica to refer to the UK as separately.
It's so funny, you guys, because Dominic, like, I guess many British people did not realize that in the United States we consider Britain as Europe. Even though it's like, he's like, oh, but it's not part of the continent. No, it's not Europe. It's like,
it's part of the... Well, it was part of the European Union, but it's not actually technically Europe. Well, not to British people anyway. I mean, I don't know, we've always had that kind of identity crisis, I guess, in the UK, because there's a lot of people in the 90s who were like, oh yes, I'm European now.
Okay, well there you go.
And it's like, and people were like, no, you're not. Europe is the continent. You know, it's like we call Europe the continent.
Yeah.
You know, when we go over to Europe, we mean the continent.
Or
we call it the continent.
Then the discussion was always, like, well, what continent do you all belong to then? What continent does the United Kingdom belong to? What continental plate? Is that what are they divided
continent
into? Continents? What continental continent?
This is not Gilbert and Sullivan.
Is the UK part of it? And your answer was?
My answer was.
I don't know.
My answer was.
We've already
Antarctica.
had to start. We've already had to start
the Arctic
this
Circle
once, and it's feeling like we're gonna have to do it again.
No, we're not. We're not going to do this again. This is our 15th time trying this.
Anyway, I think maybe people don't refer to the UK as Europe as much now as they used to years ago.
No, I mean, I always grew up thinking we were just an island. You know.
Yeah.
I didn't think, oh yeah, we're part of Europe. Oh yes, Europe.
The funny thing though to me is like you are an island. I mean, there's no real like disputing that, but to me, like,
because I guess you referred to Hawaii as part of the Americas or the North American continent, wouldn't you?
Yes.
I guess.
Yeah.
Even though it's much further from the North American continent than Britain is from Europe.
But the funny thing
literally,
is,
if you had a good pogo stick, you could jump from Britain to France.
Yeah.
20 miles,
yes.
I think, at its shortest distance.
An island to me is something that you can't necessarily see on a map without zooming in. You know what I mean? And when I look at
I've got to zoom in on my map to see.
I can see the UK like very clearly.
Well, I can see. Well, I can see Hawaii. Well, almost. Yeah.
But there's like loads of little islands.
Yeah, I mean it's quite a big island, really.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you could call Australia an island.
Yeah, you could.
That's a pretty big island, that. Well done. Congratulations, Australia. You did it.
But, anyway, when you are in Europe, anywhere in Europe, whether you're in the UK or whether you're on the continent, it's very easy. We have said this many times in the podcast before. It's very easy to get a very cheap flight to anywhere else in Europe, basically.
I think that's because of government subsidies of the airlines, which the US government should look into that.
Yeah, have we ever had a conversation about just that?
I think we did.
Alone?
Long time ago.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a time for an updated one.
Long time ago.
Maybe things have changed, but yeah, I think maybe when we were part of the EU, when Britain was part of the EU, it was easier for the subsidies. Because, every European government was like, okay, we'll throw money at airlines, so it's all cheaper to go here and there.
Because we haven't travelled betwixt countries since Britain has Brexited, so I am curious. And actually, I haven't seen anybody online talking about it that I can think of either.
No.
Whether the airline prices are different now after Brexit. Have you?
I don't think so. No, I think it's still relatively cheap to get like a Ryanair or an EasyJet flight.
Yeah.
To Spain.
Because this was several years ago now, so I can't remember exactly, but we were in Spain. We were in the south of Spain.
Yeah, we were in Malaga.
We flew out of Malaga.
So if you know where Malaga is, it's about it's closer to Gibraltar than it is than not. Then say because I think
Madrid.
Actually,
Madrid is in the north. Yeah.
Yeah, that's in the northwest. Or maybe I'm thinking no, Madrid's in the center, isn't it? Around the center.
And Barcelona's north.
Barcelona's northeast, I think.
Oh, I thought Madrid was up north.
I'm thinking of Bilbao, maybe.
I don't know.
Or Bilbao.
Anyway,
we were in the southeast of Spain.
Yeah, so we were like, looking at a map, we didn't even have to zoom in to be able to see Rome from where we were. We're like, that doesn't look very far.
We could walk that.
Let's look up and see how much a flight would be, and we could just go for, like, basically...
A couple of jet skis
3
will
days.
Be
I think it was just, like, well...
It was 3 days, yeah.
2 or 3 nights?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was it. And,
I thought, oh, should we do this? Yeah.
How much was the plane ticket?
It was like... I want to say it was like £20.
That's what I was going to say. Like, it was like £16, wasn't it?
Yeah. Euros.
Euros.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was something like that. 16! I mean, no, wait. It came out to be... Maybe it was a little more than that. Yeah, maybe it was 20-something, because I thought it was like... It came out to be like $44 for the both of us. Round trip.
Round trip, that
from
is.
Malaga.
Flight out and flight back.
Yeah.
No taxes, no fees, nothing. That was the base, that was the price.
That was the price, yeah. Well, that was with whatever taxes and fees.
Yeah,
and
well, yes, yeah.
That was with everything. And that was on, was it on Ryanair? That was like my only Ryanair experience.
Oh, was it?
I think so.
I thought we flew Ryanair into Malaga from London. Or did we fly from London to Malaga then? Because we got the flight out of Austin to London. That was probably the best flight we ever had. The best flight that we could sleep on, because there was no one else on it.
Yeah.
And we couldn't sleep a wink.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we had to like get a connecting flight from Gatwick to Malaga.
Yeah, that was a bit annoying, because we had to go from
Heathrow to
Gatwick.
Yeah. And it was kind of...
That was about an hour on the bus, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the two airports are... Well, Gatwick's in Surrey.
Yeah, and...
Even though people go, oh, it's part of London, it's like... It's in Surrey.
Anyway. Yeah, so...
Whereas Heathrow's in, like, the west. You know, it's out there in Middlesex. You know, the old Middlesex, you know.
Yeah.
It's in Hillingdon. I guess it's part of London now, you know, but Gatwick is closer to Croydon than it is to, like, London, I think. So
yeah.
I'd say Gatwick is in Surrey, you know.
But so, yeah. So flights are super, super cheap like that. Something like $11 a person each way.
Yeah.
each way, and it came out to be like $44. Yeah, so we decided to do that. The flight was a bit longer than I thought it was going to be. I think it was almost 4 hours, wasn't it?
It was something like that. It was about 3.5 hours.
You kind of think, oh, everything in Europe is quite close together.
We were flying over
the
Mediterranean. We flew over Corsica and Sardinia. You know?
We were over the water most of the time.
Most of the time, yeah.
But maybe, I wonder if they have to fly sort of like, not maybe as direct a flight, just because there are probably so many flights. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
they might have to fly.
Oh, yeah.
Like sort of
to change up their flight
ways
path,
so as not to crash into other planes.
Yes.
Because it was a little bit longer. I was kind of surprised, and that being my only experience with Ryanair, other than a disgusting smell the whole way.
Yeah, a vomit smell.
Smell. Sorry if you're eating.
I couldn't smell it from where I was, because
you could when we were in line before we boarded.
I couldn't.
We were standing there in line and we were just like, oh god.
I don't remember that.
Yeah. And then when you fly Ryanair, you have to pay more to sit together.
So we just were like, okay, you know what?
We see each other all the time.
We'll see each other
when we get there.
We'll see you in Rome.
Yeah, literally.
I'll see you in Rome.
Literally. It was so early in the morning. It's like, we're just going to sleep. It's fine. We know. We
just going to sleep. I couldn't sleep.
Oh, I did.
The guy in front of me, he slept like a baby.
I slept and I was on the aisle. I
was on the aisle too.
And the guy that was sitting in
I could see you just down the row, you know.
The guy that was sitting in between me and his wife had to keep getting up to go use the bathroom, and I was just like, oh my god, really?
He couldn't hold it for that long. I mean, it was only like 3 hours or something. God, he must have had a weak bladder.
I don't know, but
or a touch of the mal de mer.
You could still smell the smell up where I was sitting. You said you couldn't smell it.
I couldn't smell it.
You were like in the back of the plane.
I was kind of in the back of the plane, and I was next to these two women, and they were quiet as mice. They were fine, you know, and they didn't really speak to me that much. But it was 3 seats, and there was a guy in front of me, and he was snoring his head off, like, oh. And the woman who was over by the window kept reaching over the guy and slapping him, going, stop, you know, and she was like Italian or something. So she was saying it, you know, and screaming at him in Italian, and then he just got tired of her slapping him awake and just said, do you want to swap seats with me to the guy over someone? He got up and left. And I think she got up and left as well a couple of times, and she came back, and then she fell asleep. And then and
was snoring her head off.
Yeah, and she didn't have a seatbelt on or something.
Oh.
And the hostess came round, and she was like, oh, scusi, hello, excuse me, you know, like that, you know, trying to wake her up.
Yeah.
And the woman behind her, who was on the window, was like knocking her seat like that, because she was dead asleep, this woman. And for a moment, for a moment, the flight attendant looked like, is she dead? You know, and and then she was like, oh, can, and then she had to like reach over and kind of like gently touch her, like, you know, like, and then she woke up like, oh, you know, like, oh yes, you know, the seatbelt, yeah, you know, you need to have it on, you know. But there was a moment there when she thought, that poor woman thought, oh no.
Oh Lord.
Yes, it was, but that's what you get.
It's Ryanair.
For £20, flying Ryanair. So you know, you never know what you're gonna get. You know what drama's going to unfold.
Yeah.
But yeah, we got into Rome.
Yeah. And then had no idea how to get out of the airport.
We had no idea how to get out of the airport, but thankfully Rennie Mathis was on hand.
It wasn't as bad as the first. Well, the first and only time we arrived in Paris.
Yeah.
And we couldn't get out of the train station. It was a little bit better in Rome because somebody came up to us. Somebody came up to us
and offered us a ride into town and to our hotel and everything.
Which you really shouldn't accept.
You shouldn't accept, but this guy, he looked like Rennie Mathis. It was like he seemed okay, you know.
They can charge exorbitant prices, you know. You don't know. You don't know if they're going to like try to scam you and say, okay, that'll be, you know, 5,000 euros or whatever.
No, he agreed the price. I think he told us the price up front, didn't he? Because I said, how much is this going to be?
Maybe. Yeah, I think so.
And it's not going to be like, oh, yeah, we have to take the scenic route, so that's going to be an extra 100 euros.
Well, and we already knew, I think we had already looked up how much it was going to be to take the metro into, do they call it the metro in Rome? I can't remember.
Yeah, I mean.
To take the subway into the city. It was going to be a bit more of a hassle. This guy was going to literally drop us off right at our hotel door.
Yeah.
And
he couldn't figure out what hotel it was, though, because it had changed names so many times.
Yeah, which wasn't a... I didn't feel it was a really great sign.
It was a hotel Domus. And he was looking at me like, Domus. That just literally means hotel. And he was like...
Domas.
It was, yeah.
Yeah.
Domus, and because I said it's the Domus, and I should have. And he looked at it, and he was like,
something like that.
And he looked at me, because that's just hotel, like that. And I was like, that's what it says here, Domus.
Yeah.
And he was like, and he looked at it, and he was like, yeah. And he goes, and he was talking to his driver. He's like, what is this place? He goes, oh, it's that place. What's the address? Oh, it's that place. It used to be,
whatever,
called whatever. Yeah. The hotel.
Yeah. Oh, it's changed
Guest House
several
Paradiso,
times.
Whatever.
It's changed several times recently, and it's like, oh, great.
That's fun.
That doesn't bode really well.
Yeah.
But so we rode with him in a van, and like
we had a couple of.
So we got into this guy's van.
Yeah. Back of the van. No windows or nothing. It was just into the back of the van and sitting on the wheel well.
No, there were like 4 other passengers.
Yeah, it was like a people carrier type.
Yeah.
Yeah,
4 or maybe 5, something like that. Other people who he was also taking to drop off. And I think we were maybe the last people, or second to last. I can't remember, but
because he said, "Oh, he assuaged our fears of like this is going to be a scam by saying, oh no, there's other people on here, so it's all the cost is shared,
Yeah.
You're only going to pay what? I can't remember.
It was a little bit
50, wasn't it? 50.
Oh, I can't remember.
Something,
it was a little bit more than like if you had taken a taxi, or quite a bit more than if you had taken the subway, but you had to figure out how to get to the subway, how to get through the subway, how to get, and with your suitcase and everything. So it was just like, oh.
Yeah, this was going to be much better,
Except for the fact that it was very stereotypical, like, Italian city driving, like what you see in movies. It was quite vroom vroom and turning around.
I thought it was okay.
And I was starting to feel a little bit like, oh. But there was enough, like, new scenery that kept me like, wow.
Well,
but there was a guy who was getting like car sick.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or was it the wife? I don't know.
Yeah, she was kind of like going a little bit like, he's taking, and I think it was like, we're going down this like steep hills and going up here and going there,
around corners and
stuff. Taking corners,
and the roads are cobblestones and stuff.
Mostly
so it's
cobblestone,
like,
sometimes,
quite bumpy all the time.
But he took us kind of like, we're just going to take you a little bit of like around the city, just to, as we come in from the airport, we're going to show you just things, and you could see the Vatican over there.
You could see the Vatican, yeah. I was so excited about that. Yeah,
it was like the gold domes of the Vatican.
You could see sights. It was quite a good decision, I thought. I was like, we're getting to see stuff, and then drops us off at the front door, and we go up into our hotel, which was like it was not on the bottom floor.
It was on the 3rd floor or something.
In this teeny tiny elevator that was literally just room for...
Didn't they do that? Like, they did that in, like, Emily in Paris or something. It was a tiny elevator or something. I want to say...
It was not Emily in Paris, but something.
Something, and I was like, and they were like, this is the tiniest elevator I've ever been in.
Yeah.
It was like a dumbwaiter almost,
yeah. It was like just room for you, me, and the bag.
Yeah.
Literally
nobody else could get in that elevator.
No. Nobody and nothing else.
Yeah, it was...
And probably it should have just been just one or the other of us, and maybe not both of us.
Yeah, I mean,
since we had the bag with us, but
it got us up to the 3rd floor anyway.
Yeah.
And that's much better than in like London and stuff. You go into these old townhomes and you're carrying a massive bag, like yours was like as heavy as if you were carrying a dead body in it.
Yeah.
And you have to go up those stairs, and we were like at the top of the stairs. She goes, I could move you to a room that was like on the 1st floor.
Yeah.
Because we haven't got a lift or an elevator or anything like that,
But yeah, so we went up there. The woman immediately thought we were some other couple. And then looked confused. Because I remember when we opened the door and she was
like,
Signore and Signora, whoever.
Yeah, and we were like, no. And she was like, okay, hang on, I talked to this man first, because this guy wanted to know how to get places, and he was getting kind of like irate with her, because I guess she was kind of like scatterbrained or whatever.
Yeah. And those were the only people we saw in that whole place the entire time we were there.
Yeah.
Coming and going, we never saw
I never saw that
I
never saw that woman again either, who's helped us, that who thought we were...
And I think, did we have a shared bathroom with the other people on the floor?
I think so.
I think so, too.
Yeah, because we had bunk beds.
And we never saw one other person the whole time. It was quiet as anything. We came in at night one time.
It was quite a quiet street, too.
Yeah.
We should have talked to... We've got someone who follows us who lives in Rome.
Yeah.
We should talk to her and asked her
about the neighborhood. Yeah, because we did look it up.
I think I did. I don't know what she said.
We did look it up, and they were like, and some people were like, it's not the best neighborhood, but it's not the worst neighborhood. Like,
yeah,
and it was fine. it was just a little bit like, oh, just, watch out for, like, pickpocketers or whatever.
Well, yeah, that's everywhere, though.
But it was absolutely fine. There was some noise outside in the morning, but just because they were, like, doing construction or something.
They did some construction, and I think there was there was like a boulangerie or something. I call it boulangerie, a bakery and stuff,
But it was quiet. We came back one night after, it was already dark and, like, people had gone to bed and stuff, and it was just, like, so quiet. It was like,
oh yeah, this is perfect.
We were like, is no one else staying here? Like, what in the world? But yeah, it was absolutely fine.
We were shattered though.
The room was cute.
Yeah, it was just it was quite basic.
No, I mean, it wasn't, like, fancy, but it was nicer than some of the places we stayed.
Yes.
It had really big shutters.
Yeah.
Remember, it was like
a tiny little balcony.
In Italy.
It was like we were in Italy.
You know what I mean, though? It's like what you see in movies, like these big windows and, like, oh, you pull the shutters and everything, and you look down on the street and everything looks Italian. It was good. It wasn't super close to the subway, though, was it?
No, it was.
Or maybe it wasn't too far.
It wasn't too far. We just had to walk down the street and turn the corner, and then it was kind of there.
Yeah. So, when we travel, we spend hardly any time, and we just literally sleep in the room.
It's somewhere to flop.
Yeah, we don't hang out in the room. We just shower.
That's why I don't understand people who go, I've got to have the most expensive hotel. Because you're going to stay all at the hotel, are you?
Yeah.
And some people do.
It's like, as long as it's clean and safe, it's fine.
Who pay $8,000 to $10,000 for a hotel room. Mm. It's like, yeah, I guess I'd want to stay there too if I'd paid that much for the room. Yeah. But it's like, I'm in the middle of Italy or I'm in the middle of wherever. I want to get out and see the place.
Like watching the White Lotus. We were watching.
Yeah. The White Lotus.
We were watching the White Lotus lately or recently, and Dominic was like, these people never leave the resort. They're just the resort every day. Like, what are they doing? And it's like, yeah, some people travel like that. Like,
it's like, oh, I go to.
They want to go to the pool. They want to go to the spa in the hotel.
Chill out. You're in Italy. It's like, are you though? You're on a resort.
You could be anywhere.
You could be anywhere.
Yeah.
It's
like, what's the point of coming here? Yeah.
If you're not getting out there to see the place.
Yeah.
Then, you're not there.
Yeah.
It's like being in the airport.
So we arrive, we clean up, we drop the bag, and we leave, basically. Anytime we go anywhere.
Tootsies could carry us.
And I think the first stop we made was to the Coliseum, because...
Well, yeah, you go straight to the Coliseum. You gotta go there and do your prayers and everything,
So. Your prayers. We didn't do a tour. When we travel also, another thing that we tend to do is, especially if it's like a whistle stop tour, like you like to say, we don't necessarily get like tickets to do tours and to go into everywhere. It's like,
because that's going to eat up a bunch of time. You've seen just one thing,
Yeah. So we didn't get tickets to go inside the Coliseum. We were like, all right, we'll just see it from the outside, and then if we ever get to go back to Rome, maybe we'll do a tour inside, but
we saw it from the outside. We got harassed by I don't know how many scammers and
yeah. I will say,
I call them scammers, but they're just kind of like...
They're not really scammers.
I mean
kind of, but...
There are some there, I'm sure. They're not. They weren't picking our pockets. They were just asking us to pay more than was worth for what they were doing.
Yeah, I mean, it's not really a scam, though, is it?
They're just harassing the chancers. Yeah, the wide boys, really. So this guy starts talking to us and in English and
couple,
yeah, here, let me just do it. I was like, okay, yeah.
They start putting like
no, it's fine. It's like, okay,
hand.
yeah, how much are you gonna give us? And I was like, I'll just give you freaking $5. Here you go, and bugger off and all that. And then there was the
like €5 for a friendship bracelet, essentially.
It's like,
And it's just like, and they're very pushy. The annoying thing about them is just quite how pushy they are.
Yes, and there was a couple of cops there too, so it was just kind of like, yeah, they are being chancy, you know.
Yeah. Well, they're not doing anything illegal.
They're not really doing anything illegal.
They just kind of harass you
Harassing
a little bit,
bits
and they won't go away.
Yeah.
That's the annoying thing. You're just kind of like, no, I'm not interested, thank you. And they're just kind of like, oh, come on. And they just keep going, and you're just like, no.
Yeah, and then there was guys going, are you from Africa? And trying to give it, and it was
I don't know what that was about.
Yeah, I don't know. That was, like, obviously a mantra they've... Are
Yeah.
you from Africa? I'm from Africa. Yeah, you. Yeah, you know, it's just something to talk. Say, here, have a bracelet, and they're forcing it on your hand.
Yeah.
When you're saying no, they're like pushing it on your hand and trying to get it, and you're like no, and you're like, I don't want this.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, okay, can you just give me some money? I was like, no, I don't want this, mate. You know.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay, give it back. It's just like, give it back. What? I could just have all of your stuff. You know, you don't know me.
Yes.
Yeah, they take their lives into their hands. Some of these people do. You know?
So that was probably the first place that we've traveled to that we felt.
Because obviously we didn't get that in London, but apparently people do.
We've never had that in London.
People do. People say, "Oh, Westminster Bridge is terrible."
People have had their phones stolen
for
and
that.
Their pockets picked and everything.
Who do that? Oh, come over here. Yeah, do this.
They like put on a show, and then somebody's going around stealing stuff.
Picking their pockets.
Luckily, we've never experienced that anywhere. In Paris, these people just trying to sell you stuff, really, and that's basically what these guys in Rome were too. They're trying to sell you. I mean, I guess at least they're giving you something instead of just asking for money outright. You know, they're like trying to provide a little something, even if it is just a string friendship bracelet. But
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what it was.
But it's annoying.
But we saw several people who were just like, no, I don't want it, mate. No, I don't want it. Like, oh yeah, no, you have it. Oh, just like, oh my. And it's like, are you part of a gang that you've got to make a sale?
Yeah, well, I think they are. I mean, there's you see huge groups of them, so they've obviously all come out today, and then maybe they pull their money together at the end or whatever. I don't know, but it's annoying anyway. So just be warned if you go, And then there were people trying to sell selfie sticks, and it's just there's a lot of tourists, so you get a lot of people trying to take advantage, basically.
Yes.
Which is,
and we were there at the tail end of the season, so they were just getting their things in. Because a lot of people say, "Oh no, I've never had a problem in Rome outside the Colosseum or anything like that." So it's like we were just there on a bad day, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it just felt a bit chaotic to me, the city in general.
Yeah.
I don't know how else to really describe it, but just with all of that combined, with all the traffic, all the people, there's a lot of traffic noise.
A lot of going on.
Construction going on, and there's just a lot of people. So it was just probably one of the most just chaotic places that I've been. And it was a little bit like overstimulation, like...
Yeah, if you get easily overstimulated, it's maybe not for you.
Yeah. Or at least the time we went.
Yeah, because there might be times when
I don't really experience that too much, so that was like different for me. I don't experience that just like, oh my god, like
just like let me breathe.
Yeah, it's like, can I just
that kind of happened
and,
to me on Oxford Street
in
London when it was just like December 1st. Everybody was out. It was cram full. I couldn't walk anywhere.
I can't believe we didn't get pickpocketed that time. Yeah, because we were all like smashed together. I was quite conscious of holding my stuff.
And I was like, listen, because we were walking against the traffic sometimes, and it was just like they're all coming down this way. We've got to pull over and just breathe.
There was no really anywhere to pull over.
No, there wasn't.
Yeah,
it was like, oh my god, it's December 1st. Everybody was like, oh, it was just terrible.
But yeah, so after the Colosseum, like, we just went around, had a look at it, took some pictures, and then it's like, move on to the next place, because there's a lot to see in Rome.
Yeah. We went to Circus Maximus, and you didn't know what that was, did you?
I didn't know.
You were like, what's that?
Yeah, you were like,
that's where they have all the, they have all the...
chariot races.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was really cool, because no, I didn't know what it was. You were like, oh, let's go see Circus Maximus. I was like, what is this going to be?
Circuso Maximo or something.
Yeah, so we went and saw that. I mean, there's not a lot to see there. Like, you have to kind of go back in time in your mind
and say this is where it was, you know, the chariot races.
This is what it would have looked like. This is what would have happened here, you know, because otherwise it's just basically kind of like a strip of grass, really, from what I can remember.
Strip of grass, and the track is still a little bit visible, I think.
They have nothing like blocked off around there, which I thought was kind of crazy. You just like wander right onto it, and around it, and then but yeah, right across the street there was like a strip mall
with a couple of
with a pizza place.
There's a little pizza place, and we were very hungry by that point.
Yeah, and I will say that pretty much everybody in Rome, as opposed to Paris, spoke English, at least a little bit of English. Yeah.
There's a lot of tourists, you know. In Paris, there's a lot of tourists, but you know, I think it's more of a case of I don't care to speak English.
Yeah, I mean, you can't. I mean,
you know,
that's
but I'm going to speak your language, bro.
Yeah, but in Rome, they're very like, they'll just. Because I was trying to speak a little bit of Italian.
Them,
and they were just like, okay, speak in English.
Yeah, let's speak in English. Let's do this.
Yeah.
You're not quick enough with it. You're not quick enough.
And so we had some pizza in that little place, and it was quite packed. But it seemed, for the proximity to touristy spots, it seemed sort of a local kind of a place. There were like people with laptops plugged in and stuff, like it seemed like a place people go to maybe like work during the day or something from. I don't know. It was good. I like places like that.
Yeah.
So that was good.
Then we had I remember we went to the Forum, the Roman Forum after that.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, we did the Via Veneto thing. Dove Via Veneto. Veneto, that's like the big shopping district, isn't it?
I don't know. It's just a street.
High-end stores, Gucci and stuff like that.
Is it?
And Prada and stuff were on the Via Veneto. I think so. Let me know.
Yeah,
you know, I think it was the big shopping district of Rome.
I have no recollection of that.
Yeah.
But yeah, then we went to the Roman Forum, which again you have to pay tickets to get down into, but they have like a catwalk, would you call it, around the perimeter of it.
Yeah, so you can just kind of like not disturb the ruins, but
but you can pay and get down in there.
Get down in there and dig. Find some more.
The Roman Forum basically is like, I would say maybe the largest area in Rome of old Rome. Is that what you would say?
I mean, yes, I guess so. Yeah.
City of Rome.
It's like it's like that little area there because it's close to the Colosseum and everything.
And there's a lot of pieces of buildings.
Maybe we did the Forum and then Circus Maximus.
No, I don't think so. Circus Maximus was kind of just around the corner from the Colosseum, from what I.
Everything is kind of right there.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But yeah, the Roman Forum was so cool. I definitely. That was the only time I think that we were going to have to go around there, and it was close to closing time. I think that's the only reason maybe we didn't pay to get down in there, because I think for me that would have been worth it.
Yeah.
To get down there and be like within that close of proximity to it. And
because before we went to Rome, we saw a little bit of like Roman architecture in Malaga, didn't we?
A piece of a Colosseum.
A piece of a Colosseum.
Yeah, well, amphitheater. That's
amphitheater,
the word. Not Colosseum, but a piece of an amphitheater. Yeah, a Roman amphitheater in Malaga.
Just like, you don't have to go to Rome now.
Yeah, Dominic's dad was like, you don't even have to go to Rome now. There you go. Yeah, I mean, you can see Roman ruins all over Europe, obviously.
Yeah. Including the UK, which housed some of the greatest Roman ruins.
But yeah, so we just did that sort of like little loop around the Roman Forum, and kind of like looked at it from above, and then maybe went over. We got some gelato. We got gelato many times while we were in Rome.
Yeah, they were all over the place, so we couldn't resist, you know, and we were just like, we gotta get it. We got it on that little bridge.
The funny thing is, when you're wandering around Rome, it's just like, oh, what's that? You know, you just see all these kind of like just literal ruins, they're just there, you know?
Yeah,
and you're kind of like, oh,
yeah,
what's that? Is that anything? It's like, well, I mean, it's something, but it's not like a tourist attraction kind of a thing. You don't realize how many, like, obviously you've heard of the Colosseum, you've heard of the Roman Forum, you've heard of, what else? The Parthenon?
Parthenon, yeah, that's it.
Parthenon or Pantheon?
The Pantheon.
One is in Greece and
one
is in Rome.
The Pantheon is in Greece and the Parthenon is in Italy.
That was the only thing we didn't
or the other way around, I don't know.
But yeah, you've heard about all these different things that are like tourist attractions, like must-see sites, and I'm doing air quotes.
Just doing the air quotes.
But there's so many ruins just literally everywhere. I think I can't remember who we were talking to, but somebody said, like every time they have to build a new line, a new like subway line, or do any sort of like
they have to down tools every time they come into contact
because
with it.
every time
you dig, you find something new.
Yeah, and obviously they can't do anything if there's ruins under there because they're very protective over their history, as they should be, you know. But yeah, so I can imagine just the city's got to come to a
grind to a halt. Yeah,
stand still.
Yes,
and they had uncovered something. I can't remember. We happened upon it. There was like construction thing around something.
It was some sort of Roman bathhouse or something.
I don't know, just whatever it was, but apparently it happens literally all the time. And you just don't realize that until you're actually there. You know, you don't think about it anyway, or I didn't anyway. And there's just like a random, just like column from 1,000 years ago or whatever. Just it's there. People are just like whatever, just going around. It's very, very bizarro world, but also just so awesome. I think then we went over to the Spanish Steps. The Spanish Steps are they're pretty iconic, aren't they? Yeah. I don't know why they're called the Spanish Steps. I don't either. We did look it up, I think, at some point. There was some sort of like, maybe something to do with a gift from Spain or something. Or, I don't know. Or something. Yeah. Somebody let us know. Somebody let us know. But... I mean, we just can't be bothered to Google at this point, Yeah. The Trevi Fountain we saw. The Trevi Fountain. We could only get to the Trevi Fountain when it was dark. Yeah. And there was still 1 billion people there. It's gorgeous at night though because it's all lit up. Yeah. But yeah, there's 1 billion people. Yes. What time of year was it? Because it wasn't like the height of the summer or whatever, the height of tourist season. It was like November, wasn't it? It was November, yeah. Yeah, it was November. And there was still 1 billion people. So it's just like, I don't know when is the best time to go because... I mean, I'd say like, for like height of summer people want to go because, it's going to be warm and stuff there. And it was quite warm. It was mild. It was mild. It was very... I had a jacket on. I had to keep taking it off. It was very gray, though, so it wasn't like blue skies and super, picturesque. One of the things that's kind of cool around the city are these... drinking fountains. Yeah. They're just like... part of the old Roman aqueduct system, I think. Part of the old plumbing system, the original. So it was coming from, like, streams and whatever, Yeah, but... Fresh water. Mm-hmm. Drinking water, you can just get it straight there. You can put it in your... Doesn't charge anything. It's just always flowing, Yeah, and it's been like that since... Agua dulce. And it's been like that just since forever, and it's just everywhere. Agua dolce, around the city. I guess you could call it. They've started doing that around London, though, haven't they? Oh, I don't know. You maybe. Well, there was one in Westminster, or not Westminster, Windsor. There was a fountain like that. Oh, yes. Yeah, where you could just get water out. But there were some other little stations around London. I mean, not in the same way. But yeah, okay, so we did end up looking it up in the end, because it was the last thing that first day that we were trying to go see, and there's just not any... There's not any subway stops. Yeah, the subway nearby. Yeah, it's kind of like... It was the Pantheon.
The Pantheon,
It's
yeah.
the Pantheon that's
not
in
the
Rome.
Parthenon. The Parthenon is in Greece.
Yeah. It's kind of set a little ways away from everything else. Everything else is pretty much around.
They've got the subway stops to, you can get off and see them there, because I think there's one right outside the Colosseum, isn't there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the Pantheon, right?
The Pantheon, yeah.
But the Pantheon is a little bit. It's not far either, because nothing is really far. But when you've been walking
all day, all day long. Should we get a taxi? Should we get a, should we try and get a bus? Maybe.
We're like, it's the last thing that we have to see, because the next day.
We have to come back to Rome to see the Pantheon,
because the next day we were going to go to
the Vatican.
Yeah, the Vatican, and we were going to be there all day. So we were like, this is the last opportunity we're going to have. Can we make it? And we were just like, oh no, we can't. Our feet are absolutely falling off. Like, we cannot take another step. We really can't. So, sadly, we didn't make it to the Pantheon. That was, like, the last main kind of tourist attraction that we didn't get to see, though. And then the next day, we got up bright and early.
Bright and early to go to the Vatican, to Vatican City.
Mm-hmm. And basically, you just kind of walk right in. There's armed guards at the, like, entrance. Yeah. And there is, like, an entrance.
There's like a grand entrance.
Yeah, it's very like a big archway. Yeah. Wasn't it an arch?
Yeah, and they've got like what do they call them? The Trabionary or something. They're kind of like, they've got the red hats on with a little feather comes out. They're kind of like special police.
Oh, yeah.
They are, Yeah. They're but they're only in Rome, I think.
Did anybody look at our passports or anything? I can't remember if there was any sort of like...
Maybe. No, maybe not. We could get a stamp. You could go and get a stamp somewhere, and I think it cost.
Oh, yeah, but we didn't?
We didn't.
Oh, okay.
Because it was going to cost too much to get a stamp in our passport to say that we'd been to Vatican City. We did send a letter, though, to your grandmother.
Oh,
Which didn't...
we sent her a postcard, I think.
We sent her a postcard, and it took her about 3 months to get here.
Yes.
Because we were already back here by then, and it was just like, oh yeah, it's like, yeah.
Yes.
Finally got it like 3 months later.
Yeah.
So once you get in,
yeah,
you see, like, you can go into, like, the museums and stuff. It's like the Borgia apartment and the frescoes.
The Borgia's apartment.
Yes.
Yeah.
And... The Holy See is what they call it, isn't it? The whole place.
Yeah.
The Holy See.
So there's like museum after museum, which I didn't realize. And you kind of start at one
museum,
end.
There's museum after museum. And it's kind of like, you build, it's kind of like you're building up to
end at the Sistine Chapel. Yeah.
But I'm kind of... it's kind of like, they did this wrong. It's like they want to make the Sistine Chapel like the big showstopper.
Yeah.
And it's like, it really wasn't, after seeing all the frescoes on the ceiling and everything like that. It was kind of like, okay, just another fresco then.
Well, I will say, God, to say it like that
to say it so like crazy. That, it's just like, because the thing is, like, I think if Michelangelo was here, he'd be like, why have you done this? Why have you created so many other frescoes? It's just like, because you've just taken away from this now.
The whole way... So you go through all these museums, and you kind of go, like, kind of left to right, from what I remember, and it's just, like, room
St.
after
Peter's
room
Basilica.
Room after room after room after room.
Yeah.
And you tour all the museums, and then you go into the Basilica. Yeah. And, where the Sistine Chapel is. Is that right?
Yes.
And you are going down all these hallways with, as Dominic said,
fresco after fresco after fresco.
Ceiling after ceiling, painted like just absolutely beautiful, breathtaking paintings. And so by the time you get to the Sistine Chapel, it's like, it's amazing, but you've kind of already seen
a bunch of this. You're all frescoed out.
Beautiful ceilings like that. So, I mean, it's still amazing. I suppose you can probably just see the Sistine Chapel, maybe, because there was a separate line, wasn't there?
Yeah.
To get into.
I think so, yeah.
To that area. Well, that's where we were standing in line with the woman.
Oh, yeah, the woman turned around. She was
excited. Everybody thought
everyone thought she was Italian.
In Spain, everybody thought it was Spanish, and in Italy, everybody thought it was Italian.
Because they just started talking Italian to you, you know.
Which like boosted my ego, because I never thought of myself as looking Italian, but apparently to Italians, I look Italian.
And she just turned around and started talking excitedly to you.
Yeah, she was excited to get to go into the basilica, and I was just like, what my little Italian I had learned, you know.
No parla.
Yeah.
No parlo.
I was like, non parlo l'italiano, and she was like, oh.
She had this look in her face like, what?
She looked at me like, you're lying.
And she looked at me, and she knew I was freaking, and I was like, yeah, I don't speak it. And then she looked at me, and then she looks at me, she goes, ma parla.
Yeah.
Ma parla.
Which means, but you're speaking
yeah. You speak, you know.
Mm. Oh, I said non sono.
Non
sono italiano. Yeah, which means I'm not Italian.
Yeah.
And she goes, ma parla. Like, but
you're speaking it.
Yeah, but you speak it. And I was like, and I said, un po.
Americano.
Yeah. Sono americano.
Sono americana.
It's
Americana, yeah, maybe.
Sono americana.
I don't know.
Yeah, I can't remember now. I haven't practiced my Italian in a while, but yeah. Anyway, yeah. So Dominic thought that was funny.
Yes.
A little grandma talking to me in Italian, and she went way past my knowledge.
Yes.
Which anyway, it was like I have no idea what you're saying. But yeah, so that was really cool. And then we went into the actual, cathedral itself, where I think that was after seeing the Sistine Chapel, wasn't it? We went into the actual cathedral itself, like where the Pope has a throne, has his golden throne.
He's got his throne room in there, yeah.
Yeah. And, I mean, it's all just very...
I think that's where that's kind of like the state, where he sits and he accepts the state visit or whatever, you know?
Yeah.
And that might be where he, you know...
Well, it was I assume it's where they hold services.
And they hold services as well.
The funny thing is, you know, it was open to tours.
Yeah.
And so everybody in there was tourists, and everybody was asking everybody else, would you take a picture of me and my whoever? And okay, yeah. And then will you take a picture of us? And blah, blah, blah. And so we're all doing that. And then because at this point, this is the end of the tour, you've seen all the museums, you've seen the Sistine Chapel, you're now in the actual cathedral, and this is it, you know, it's finished after this. And it was nighttime, and I guess they were going to have an evening service. And suddenly, people started coming in, like, that were not with the rest of us. They started coming in. They were in this separate, line. And there were these guys who had part of the cathedral. There was, a separate area of the cathedral that you could tell they were about to have a service in there of some kind.
Yeah.
And people were coming in, and they were going, and I told Dominic, I said, let's go see if we can get in, because I'm not Catholic, but I was like, it would be awesome to attend a service in the Vatican. And so I was like, come on, let's go see if we can get in.
And so we just tried to walk in with these couple, and the security guard pretty much was like,
Yeah, he was like, no, not you, you know, basically shaking his finger at us, like,
no.
No.
He kind of just moved in front of us to say, nope,
yeah,
you don't go.
You have
members
to have
only.
You have to have members only.
It's a members only club. This very exclusive.
You had to have a pass, or you had to have some sort of something, which I hadn't seen anybody flashing any sort of...
I did then, yeah. I was watching him. I was like, okay,
obviously,
how did he know that we weren't part of the service?
Yeah.
Unless he knows everyone in this, you know. But then I saw a well-dressed, youngish couple, you know, walking up, and, you know, he pulled out of his breast pocket a pass, and he
a pass or some sort of invitation or something.
So
I didn't know what.
He flashed it at him, and he was like, okay.
I don't know what it was, but anyway, we were not allowed, so we couldn't.
Because there was another guy who tried to go in, you know, and he was with his camera or whatever, and he was just like, oh. And then the guy had to literally, because he managed to push open the gate
Oh, yeah.
And the guy was like,
yeah,
pretty much dived and grabbed him, you know. I was like, no, you get back.
Because there was sort of a little gate there, and the guy was standing there, like, letting the other people in. It wasn't like a wedding. They were not like...
No, it wasn't a wedding. It was just a service. It was like a mass. I'm guessing,
yeah. And so I was like, why am I not allowed? I want to go
Why am I not allowed in here? How dare you? How dare you try and stop me?
How American I can be.
Yes. How dare...
I want to speak to your manager.
I want to speak to your manager. Get the Pope down here right now. He knows me. We're good friends. It's my buddy.
Oh, God, but yeah.
It was Pope Francis back then.
Oh, we went
Pope
up
Leo.
to the top, too, didn't we? And you could see, like, the view out
yeah.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. That was, like, just before it started getting dark.
Mm.
You could go up and, there was a view from the roof up there. Yeah. God, I forgot about that. Yeah, that was really nice. You can see the view of Vatican City, which is not very big at all.
No, it's not big. You know, it's right in the middle of Rome. So you know, it's like a city, and it's like its own little papal state or whatever.
Yeah,
everything has to be imported into.
Yeah,
you know, almost everything. You know, they don't make anything there. You know, they're not like a fully autonomous thing, but they are a different country. You know? The Holy See.
Yeah. But yeah, so I think that was all that we did that day. I think we went back into Rome then, and we went and had a spaghetti dinner at some little restaurant.
Yeah, we had to go because this guy had his little fedora on, and he was...
Yeah.
It was all,
We had a little spaghetti dinner.
And the guy who looked like Rennie Mathis, who took us to the hotel, you know, he was very like, oh yeah, first time in Rome, have a plate of spaghetti, he said.
Yeah.
I remember him saying that.
Yes, and I think that's why we did it, too. We were like, well, he said, you know,
he said we should, so here we are. And it would have been a cheap meal had it not been for the bottle of wine that was like 400 euros or whatever it was.
It wasn't too bad.
It wasn't, no.
It was a quiet little place, but it was very, like...
We were the only ones there. I think maybe one other couple...
I think there were two other couples, like, by the time
we
were...
The toilets, though, were downstairs, and they were absolutely disgusting.
Yeah, the restaurant was, like, quite a nice little place, but then you went downstairs...
You had to go to the bathroom or something.
Yeah, we both did, I think.
And I was like, maybe I went first. And because he goes, oh, it's downstairs. And I was like, oh, figures, it's always downstairs.
They're always downstairs in Europe. And oftentimes in the UK as well.
Yeah, it's like, oh, yeah, we put the toilets downstairs because they're next to the sewer. So go straight in there. But yeah, I went down there and I was going down to these steps. And then it just was like, oh, it was like a small little bathroom. Everything was kind of falling apart. It was falling apart. It was terrible. It was like, I was like, this is like, you know, you could update. Yeah. It was a little bit like, why is the rest of this place like kind of nice looking? And yeah, it was interesting. But yeah, so that was most of our trip. I think we flew out early the next day back to Malaga. We usually walk till our feet are gonna fall off. Walk till our feet drop. That's the way I like to travel. Just be completely exhausted at the end of the trip. Yes. Yeah. But anyway, let us know if you've ever been to Rome. Let us know what we missed. Yes, and if you live in Rome, let us know what we missed. I think I would like to go back. I'd like to go and see Palermo and Catania. Still into the White Lotus. Yeah, White Lotus it up, boyo. Yeah. But yeah, anyway, thank you for tuning in. As always, we appreciate your support. Shout out to our patrons for their continued support. Be sure to give us a follow on social media. If you do not follow us already, we are at TButty, TEABUTTY, across all socials. And we'll talk to y'all next time. Goodbye, everybody. Bye. Or should we say ciao? Ciao. Ciao, bello.